Okay, review 13, number 24. We're looking at an equation and finding g of 3. So here we're looking to see if g of 3, what is that equal to? So a way to think about this is it's kind of like an xy point, or noticing that it's g of x, so 3 must be an x value. So if you kind of think about that comma and the equal sign being about the same, we're looking for a y value to be able to find. So if you use the equation that they gave you, throw that in y equals. So I have y equals 2x squared minus 4. Go to my table, which I need to get back to normal. And right there at 3 is 14, because we're looking to see what's that y value. It's 14. With 25, we're looking at identifying this table for it. So a few different ways of going about this, but I need to get this as y equals to be able to use my calculator to be able to help me with it. Or I could plug in random x and y values and see if they equal the -7 with using that. So here, I'm going to add 3x on both sides to cancel that guy out. And that gives me the equation y equals 3x minus 7. Which, of course, I'm always looking for that easy way to go about it. So since I've got that -7, I know I have a y-intercept of 0, -7, which I luck out there, and I have that on there. But I want to make sure that this is actually my table, so I'm going to check at least another point on here. So with that, I want to check kind of a point on every table. So I'm noticing that I've got 1, 1, 1 across those tables. I don't have the 1 on the last table, so it's not going to confirm my answer of D, but I want to be able to check that just to see. So if I go back to my y equals and I put in 3x minus 7, go back to my table, there's 1, -4, which means A is definitely not it, B is definitely not it, but C might be, because I've got 1, -4. So I need to check another point. So that's when I'm noticing here between C and D, we have 6 on both of them. But if I look down at 6 on my table, it's not 621, it's 611. So D is my table that matches. With function here, we've got an equation that can be used to determine the cost in dollars. So that's my y for the taxi ride for X miles. What's the rate of change, which is my m value in a slope-intercept equation. And so I've got to get it to where it's just y equals mx plus b. But I've got a little bit of a more complicated equation. So if I look at my equation right now, I've got a bit of work to do. So I'm going to take and distribute out that 275. Get 5 plus 2.75x minus 2.75. And I can go ahead and combine those like terms to get y equals 2.75x plus 2.25, which makes it really easy to see that my slope is 2.75, which means J would be my answer. With 27, there's two different ways of going about this. Both ways, you're going to have to know something about the term directly proportional. So with that, you're either using stat and putting 0, 0 in your table, as well as, I'm going to go and replace this with A and B at top with 3 and 4, using stat to get the equation. So I would do stat, edit, have my 3, 4, and 0, 0, stat, calc 4, and get the equation of 1.3 repeating, which is actually y equals 4/3 x. So if I'm like, man, I don't know what that decimal is, do 1 point, bunch of 3's, math, enter, enter, and I get that 4/3. I'm then going to use the fact that my a value is the same thing as x, plug that in, and say, okay, that means I want to do 4/3 times 12 to get what my y/b value is, which is going to get me the b value equal to 16, because I'm going to do 4/3 times 12 and get 16. Another way of doing this is setting up a proportion. So the fact that it's proportional, you can set it up to where you can do a over b. So 3:4 as 12:b, cross multiply, 3b is equal to 4 times 12, which is 48. Divide that by 3, and you get b equal to 16. Again, both ways will do the same exact thing. 28, we're looking at factoring. I have alarm bells ringing in my head because I'm noticing a perfect square and a perfect square there. So I'm going to go ahead and check that. I have square root of 16x squared. I'm going to check square root of 16. Second square root, 16. Boom, gives me 4. So I have 4, and then square root of x squared is x. And then I'm going to check the last one. Square root of 9 gives me 3. Yes, I've got it. Now, this is not difference of squares because it's got the middle term. This one is perfect square trinomial. And on my formula card, it wants a squared, we've got a squared, plus or minus 2ab plus b squared. We've got b squared. So check, check, because those are both perfect squares. I've got to check the 2ab. So I want 2 times 4x times 3, because I'm using those pieces on there. And 2 times 4 times 3, oops, sure does give me 24, which means check, I've got this center part, so I can go about writing my perfect square. So when I do that, it tells me to do a plus or minus b squared, so it doubles up. So I know I'm going to have something squared. My a value is 4x, my b value is 3, it's got a minus sign there, so I got my minus sign. There's my answer. Last one is looking at, last one is looking at the graphs, and I want to find a function. Oh my gosh, this is all the way back. Functions are where x cannot repeat. And if x cannot repeat, then it also can be used with the vertical line test. So with the vertical line test, you're going to pass a vertical line over the course. If it ever crosses twice, that means you have multiple x values. So here, I have a bunch of all the same x values, so it fails the vertical line test. Here, I have 2 of the same x value, fails. This looks like it, but this one, actually, they keep going around, so is a function. Here, keeps moving through, and even though this looks like it's going down, it keeps on going out as well, is a function. Here, yep, never crosses on it, function. Here, nope, got 2, not a function. Okay, end of your review. See y'all next time. Bye.